stepping up my game. I'm a groove stew, yes I am. With groove I know I can. Read my master plan. I'm grooving, yes I am. I'm grooving. Oh, I'm grooving. I'm grooving, yes I am. I'm grooving. Oh, I'm grooving. I'm moving, yes I am. I'm moving. I'm moving. I'm moving, yes I am. I'm moving. I'm moving. I'm moving, yes I am. Groove Nation inspires me. The most loose and free. I'm dancing to my dreams. Bursting at the seams. I'm feeling groove-alicious. Who knows who I am? 'Cause now is my time to have a groove state of mind. I'm grooving. Oh, I'm grooving. I'm moving, yes I am. I'm grooving. Oh, I'm grooving. I'm moving, yes I am. I'm grooving. I'm moving, yes I am. I'm moving. I'm moving. I'm moving, yes I am.
Hello, Donna.
Hello, Ridgely. How are you this fine day?
I am doing terrific. First call of the year for us. Bam! Excited. You know, I'm like, people are going on the boat. You're getting ready to get on the boat. I got your sunscreen all packed, I'm sure, ready to roll, right? Look at that big old smile on that girl's face right there. Oh, man, look at that smile.
I am very, very excited. I was resistant. You know, it never feels like the right time to get away from your business.
Mhm.
And it is the marketer's cruise, so it's not exactly like I'm getting away from my business. And it's obviously a business cruise, but it's getting away from being in front of my desk all day long. You know, in front of my computer screen all day long, and seeing a little nature and dipping my toes in the ocean. And I'm very excited because I am committing to working on my art business the whole time I'm gone. So I'm going to be creating while I'm away.
Fantastic. Well, I am glad that I am not able to attend the little beginning. I would have loved to go on the cruise, but this has been dry January all month long without a sip of alcohol. And
Oh,
I know that there's no way that would continue if I was on that boat with you, Mike Filsame, and all my other degenerate friends. Just saying,
I
right?
hear that.
So, as much as I love them all of them, right? Great people. And it's a new beginning. So, you know, January, new beginnings. Beginnings is a great topic to talk about. And there's so much to talk about. So I did this weird thing. I found all these books that have various topics about beginnings. And then I randomly shuffled them all. So I don't know which one is coming first on purpose so that we could have a dialogue. But before we get to that, there's some people saying, we'll be seeing you in a few days. I love that.
Oh, so nice.
Right? Getting together down there, jumping on the boat.
That is fantastic.
You packed your sunscreen, Donna Fox?
Of course, not with this pale Irish skin like this.
I was going to
have my sunscreen.
I was going to mess with your hair. It's not even purple at the moment. I'm like, is it trying to like you let it lighten while you're on the?
I chose a different brand of purple. With that really bright purple that I get when I go into ocean water, it just washes right out. I go in the ocean purple, I come out white.
Oh, okay.
I'm trying a different purple shade. It's actually purple. It's really dark. But it is actually purple.
I can see a little bit over here, a little bit over there, but it's not the usual.
Not the usual, but my hopes are that when I come out of the ocean, it will be still purple and maybe even less dark. So we'll see. It's only hair.
Hey, you know what? it's beginnings. It's new beginnings. And what do you think of when you think of beginnings?
Oh, I think of things like New Year's Day and Easter, new seedlings, things being born, first days of school. Yeah, registering a domain.
Registering a domain, starting a new thing, whatever that may
Yeah.
be. You know, I was thinking about New Year's Day. It's such a bizarre thing. How many of us really want, if we spent a fair amount of time thinking about it, to wake up the first day of the year hungover, foggy, and groggy? I don't get that. I just don't get that. I mean, oh, now you're on mute somehow. You muted yourself. Donna, you disappeared. You have momentarily left us. Well, you don't know why. Well, I'll just keep commenting on that until you come back while you play with that technology. It's just one of those ones that I've always found fascinating. The idea we're going to wake up on New Year's Day. Oh, man. Oh, my God. And that's the first day of the year, really? Setting that up? I'm just not so sure. I think that's a great idea. Donna will come back and join us for a moment. So I've taken to just abandoning that tradition. I think it's all fine and good to welcome the new year. Perhaps you want a splash of something, but that overindulgence deal, I just don't see how it serves anybody to start the year off. So I'm done with that process.
Mhm.
Not willing to participate in that. What do you think, Donna?
So can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Got it.
So happy.
So I think the same thing. That's why I don't go out on New Year's Eve, because I don't want to start, even though tomorrow is the same as today, always. So the first day of the year is just like the last day of the year in some respects, but in other respects, it's a milestone for a reason, and it's an opportunity to reset. And when I reset, I don't want to start resetting hungover, waking up late, feeling like crap. So yeah, that's a game I don't play.
You know, it's interesting. Of course, they call January 19th Quitter's Day, right? When 85% of the world give up on their New Year's resolutions, so to speak. And I found myself, as it became, the 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th, at our yoga studio, wondering how long are people going to keep coming? And sincerely hoping that they would continue to show up past the 19th. And I have to tell you, don't know what's different. Don't know if it's post-pandemic or what it may be. We're opening up a little bit, but there's still a lot of people at the yoga studio. Now, check with me again, February 20th, a month from now, not so sure. But so far, the 19th came and went, and there's all these people I don't know. Like, who are you? You've never been here before that I've ever seen, because the regulars, we all know each other.
Interesting.
Right? But I love that. I was like, wait, man, more people taking care of themselves. This is a good thing. So I got a big one for you. I've done some research recently, in fact, doing it, of course, for the purpose of teeing up a webinar. Always a good thing to do. We have our affiliate launch coming up in March on our new product launch. I'm very excited about that. So I'm doing some research, and I find out that in 2021, 47 million people quit their jobs in the US. 47 million people. In 2022, the average was 3.98 million per month, even more than in 2021. So yes, some people were finding other jobs. I get it. But there are 10 million unfilled jobs in the United States right now. And the number one reason that keeps surfacing is that people felt disrespected or not honored or not challenged. In other words, it was very much an inward thing that caused people to drop their job, which led to what now this quitting is called the Great Resignation, right? We've talked about this, the Great Resignation. So my thought is, what are they looking for? Like what new beginning are those 4 million people a month seeking? What are they doing? And how can we at Groove, with our own lives, with your art, how can we contribute to that? What do you think?
Yeah, I think that the best way, well, so two questions. What are they seeking and how can we contribute? I think people are seeking a reason to wake up every morning. A job that inspires them, that doesn't feel like work, a role that gives them a sense of accomplishment and fulfillment without having to compromise their sense of self-worth. I think that's what people are looking for. I don't think anyone that is fulfilled and engaged in their job and feels like they're valued leaves a job like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's what they're looking for. And how can we help? We can help by doing the stuff that we all need to do to operate our independent businesses and be good role models. That's what we can do. That's why I started my art business.
Yeah. Yeah, I would think that in addition, we can support people emotionally. I did not know this number either. I got these numbers going in my brain at the moment. 75% of the current workforce is Gen X, Gen Z.
That makes sense.
75%.
Yeah.
So those are the people that are expressing dissatisfaction. Those are the people that are primarily resigning and looking for something new.
What about the millennials?
They're in the middle of that, right?
They're in the middle?
Yeah.
So it's 70% are on the outskirts, the old part of the workforce and the young part of the workforce.
Yeah, the baby boomers represent about a little over 20%, but the bulk of the workforce is in that Gen X, Gen Z situation, and they're the ones that are bagging out. And say, I thought that was very interesting. Like, wow, so those are the people responsible for the Great Resignation. They have enough years ahead of them still to decide, hey, I want something different, and to key in on that, saying, I'm not good with this anymore. You guys, I have options. We're in what we call, for such a long time, it was a hirers mode. Now it's a hirees mode, right? That in a lot of ways, those people being hired have options that they've never had before. And on the other hand, all these layoffs coming from the tech sector. It just seems like there's a lot of chaos out there.
I agree. I mean, I definitely agree. What I'm wondering is, do you have information on how that compares to, say, 2019?
I don't at the moment, but I could look it up. Yeah,
it's interesting. I know, obviously, it's more because of the movement, but I'm wondering just how big it is. Like how many people are we seeing? Just more movement and shifts from job to job, or people just stopping working now?
Well, that I do know. It's both. This resignation is by far the greatest resignation of employment in the history of the United States by an enormous margin, like more than double than ever before in the worst recession, whatever. Huge, way, way bigger. And it is twofold. There's a lot of people that are just not going back. They're like, nope, I don't want to do that anymore. I used to work some lame job, We found other ways of making this work. We have our own garden now and we're getting our own vegetables, and forget about it. Right.
And I think the pandemic forced us to slow down. And then a lot of people started rethinking the rat race of decisions, the double income families that have to be a double income because they need the income to cover the cost of childcare that they would need if one of the parents stayed home. I think there's a lot of reasons. It's very complicated, but I think what happened was the pandemic forced us to get off of that treadmill and really take a look at what we value in life. I think that's why a lot of people aren't selling their soul for a company that doesn't appreciate them any longer.
So my man, Miguel Ruiz, who wrote the 4 Agreements,
Great book if you haven't read it yet.
I'm very happy to call Miguel a personal friend. In here, under the new dream called Heaven Earth, he says the following: I want you to forget everything you've learned in your whole life. This is the beginning of a new understanding, a new dream. The dream you are living is your creation. It is your perception of reality that you can change at any time. You have the power to create hell, and you have the power to create heaven. Why not dream a different dream? Why not use your mind, your imagination, and your emotions to dream heaven? Just use your imagination and a tremendous thing will happen. Imagine that you have the ability to see the world with different eyes whenever you choose. Each time you open your eyes, you see the world around you in a different way. Close your eyes now and then open them and look outside. What you think?
I love that.
Right.
It reminds me of something I like to say, which is that worry is the negative use of your imagination. Now, worrying and stressing out about stuff, and especially worrying about things you can't control, imagining all of the things that could go wrong, those are just negative uses of your imagination. And when you can choose the positive uses. Choose to think good things. Choose to think about the world in the way you want it to be. And it's remarkable how much of that just becomes reality.
Right. So Miguel goes on to say, using your imagination and your new eyes of perception, I want you to see yourself living a new life, a new dream, a life where you don't need to justify your existence and you are free to be who you really are.
Yeah.
There is really no reason to suffer. The only reason you suffer is because you choose to suffer. If you look at your life, you'll find many excuses to suffer, but a good reason to suffer you will not find. The same is true for happiness. The only reason you're happy is because you choose to be happy. Happiness is a choice, and so is suffering. That's deep, man. That's a loaded piece of information that we could debate a lot.
Yeah. One of the things, if people are coming to me with a problem or a feeling and they're expressing frustration, one of the most powerful questions I ask them is, do you want that feeling to stop?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like magic. If you ask someone that, they go, yes, want it to stop. And their mind goes, okay, we'll make it stop. And it does. Like magic. It's amazing.
Yeah, right. And we have that choice. And I wonder how people do it. And we'll get into this with some of these other authors that I pulled. I wonder how people do it in the absence of a practice.
Yeah.
Like the concept of, oh, I'm just going to choose, to me is a great idea. And I'm vibing to what Miguel has to say. But I find that, at least for me, in the absence of a practice that enables me to center myself, to get back to a space where conscious choice is more readily available or right in front of me, is almost paramount for me to maintain that new beginning spirit, as opposed to that victim kind of space. I know you walk your dogs as part of the practice every day. Hey, those dogs are there and they got to be walked. And
I have quite a few practices. Yeah, absolutely.
Being a good dog mom is one of your practices. And not only is it good for your dogs, but it's also good for you. And then when you're walking the dogs, you're not in front of that computer that's screaming at you with 75 things, right?
Yep, you're absolutely correct. And I think when it comes to practices, there are the practices that help you maintain a certain level. So walking my dogs outside during the day is a great example. Not only does it help the dogs, but it helps me do some things that help me maintain my energy levels. When you expend energy, you create energy. So getting out and going for the walk helps me expend energy. I'm out in the sunshine without sunglasses on, because that direct sunlight in your eyes is good for you. It's very good for you. So I do that every morning. Those are the practices that I have in place, and I do them every single day. But I also have some practices in place that I call upon when I need to. Mm-hmm. So, for instance, I have a book of mental health help, I'll call it. It's just a notebook that I have created with all sorts of resources in it for me. And it's my feelings book. And if I'm feeling a particular way, I can go to the book and look up what to do if I'm having that feeling. So, for example, I have overwhelm. if you're feeling overwhelmed. And then I have a process that is how to brain dump and get all the information out of your brain that's overwhelming you and organize it. And that's in my book. And these are all very personal things that I've picked up over the years, questions that I can journal about. If you're feeling stressed out, if you're feeling sad, if you're feeling lonely, and resources. The If You're Feeling Lonely page has a list of people to call.
Nice. I love that.
Because you may not know what to do when you're in a bad place, but I have a place where I can go when I realize I'm in a bad place.
Yeah, and that's
That
so
helps me with
helpful.
it.
That
Yeah.
is so helpful when you do that, right? So,
Yeah.
Brother Deepak, he's a cool dude on this in the soul of leadership. Talk about responsibility. And I love the word responsibility because when you break it down, it becomes the ability to respond, right? In other words, are we present, conscious, and there so that we have responsibility? I take responsibility. I am in charge here. I can define what the beginning is from this moment on. Buddhism, there's a term called Honin Myo, and it stands for from this moment on. It basically, the idea is that we restart every single day. Every day is a beginning. Every single day is a beginning. Doesn't matter what happened in the past, but very, very cool to keep
Every
on.
single moment is a beginning.
Right
now.
So Deepak says that a leader's responsibilities can be divided into the following 8 areas. So I'm gonna read the 8, and I'm inviting everyone listening and you as well to pick which one speaks to you the most. Here we go. I am responsible for what I think. I am responsible for how I feel. I am responsible for how I perceive the world. I am responsible for my relationships. I am responsible for my role in society. I am responsible for my immediate environment. I am responsible for my speech. I am responsible for my body. Which one speaks to you the most?
Probably the first, the thinking. That was the first one, right?
Yeah. I'm responsible for what I think. Me too.
I think everything else on that list stems from getting it right up here first.
Yeah, the second one, I'm responsible for how I feel. Kind of like those, they're kind of those are like of all the 8, those spoke to me the most for sure. But I do think it is that master your mind thing that is the toughest, the most unique, and the different.
I'm not sure your feelings different than your thoughts. I think your feelings stem from your thoughts.
I think maybe Deepak was telling us how we need to frame them. And Kelly, to your question, the last 2 are I am responsible for my speech and I am responsible for my body. Those are the last 2. So a lot of people haven't seen this book before, The Soul of Money by Lynn Twist. Very cool book. Very, very cool. And in here, there's a quote from John Perkins. And I love this quote. It ties right into what we're talking about. We have dreamed it, therefore it is. I have become convinced that everything we think and feel is merely perception, that our lives individually as well as communally are molded around such perception, and that if we want to change, we must alter our perception. When we give our energy to a different dream, the world is transformed. To create a new world, we must first create a new dream. What do you think?
It's hard to argue with that. Yeah, I think, there's a expression, somebody said, you can't solve the problem with the same thinking that got you there. And I think it's a very similar idea, is that you need to create your beginning. And the first place that you create your new beginning is in your mind.
Yeah. And certainly John Perkins is saying, and make it a dream. When you make it a new dream, wow, that's kind of cool. Where are we moving on from there? So yeah, I think so. So here's totally on the opposite end of the spectrum, right? Because like I said, I mixed up these books, not sure what's coming next. This one is from Book of Five Rings by our samurai brother, Miyamoto Musashi. And he's talking about to renew. And he's talking about it in the context of fighting the enemy, because that's what this whole thing is about. It's about strategy. But I found the one passage on renew. He says, to renew applies when we are fighting with the enemy. And by the way, I would invite everyone to think about the enemy within as well as the enemy out, right? So repeat that. To renew applies when we are fighting with the enemy and an entangled spirit arises where there's no possible resolution. We must abandon our efforts, think of the situation in a fresh spirit, then win in the new rhythm. To renew when we are deadlocked with the enemy means that without changing our circumstance, we change our spirit and win through a different technique. It is necessary to consider how to renew. Research this diligently. So when you're in the middle of the mix, and it's like, oh man, it looks like SSDD. Same stuff, different day. Well, I would submit that if you don't do something different, like you said a little bit earlier, you're probably going to get more of the same stuff. Call me crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
I agree. And I think you can get this concept or idea of renewal when you're in it by having some strategies to recenter yourself, especially if you're doing something that's hard. That feels hard or feels frustrating or really causing your gears to grind a little. You can smell the smoke from your thinking. That is absolutely the right time to step away and engage in some sort of renewal ceremony, if you will, habit, practice, whether it's just going outside and taking a deep breath in the sunshine or putting your toes in the grass or snuggling with your dogs, whatever it is.
Right? For sure. I totally agree. And sometimes it really is that simple. I know, I don't know who taught me this. Somebody. I've never had an original idea in my life. I just listen to people very well. Go, okay, that sounds good. Let me take that in. The idea of just get out of your chair and go outside for a minute.
Yeah.
Even a minute. Walk around your yard. Do something. Your block if you're in an apartment. Whatever.
Close your eyes and take a deep breath. Just calm your circuits a little bit. Our good friend John Assaraf says that all the time. Calm your circuits. And the way you calm your circuits is by taking some deep breaths. That's not a woo-woo suggestion. That is a biochemical suggestion. When you take deep breaths, you actually shut down the fight or flight response. Even that practice alone could help a whole lot of people within earshot of this.
For sure. You know, it's interesting because I've been practicing yoga a very, very long time. And only in the last few years have I become very conscious of my breath during yoga and how big a difference because you hear your yoga teacher. I've been hearing my yoga teacher for the last decades and decades say, breathe, pay attention to your breath, key in on your breath. Do you think I did it? No, I did not, because I'm too stubborn or I'm too thick or dense or whatever. It takes me a minute to get it. But in the last few years, I've been paying attention to the breath. It really makes yoga so much more enjoyable and a lot easier.
I am pretty sure that if yoga was taught the way it should be taught, you'd spend nothing but breathing for the first year.
Yeah, right.
You would just learn how to breathe for a year.
Right. So
you did your first sun salutation.
Exactly. That's interesting. I just, one of the books I picked up was Brother Jeff Goins over here. And as I picked up the book, I thought to myself, why hasn't Jeff been on Groove Growth yet? Why? Because I haven't called him. Okay. Yeah. I guess that's on me. I will be calling him. I will be reaching out right after this because Jeff's way too cool. He said, I just found this fascinating. A lot of times when I pick up these books, I'll go straight to the index. I want to see what does the index say. I'll go look at the intro, the chapters, the prologue. They'll see what are the chapters, and then what's the index. Mm-hmm. And in the index, he has this thing called 7 Signs You Found Your Calling. And I thought, This is big. For those people who are searching for a beginning, a calling, let me just share these with you. Very, very cool. Number one, it's familiar. You find your calling not just by looking forward to what you will do, but by looking back at what you've done. Number two, it's something other people see in you. Sometimes our vocations are most obvious to those who know us best. Number three, it's challenging. It must be difficult enough that not anyone can do it. This is about your calling again. Number four, it requires faith. It cannot be something so obvious that you can easily explain it. It must be mysterious. I love that. Number five, it takes time. You have to fail your way in the right direction before you find it. Oh man, we can talk about that for like 5 hours. Totally agree with that. Number six, it's more than just one thing, and it integrates well with the rest of your life, not competing with, but complementing your top priorities. And number seven, it's bigger than you. The task must be so large that without a team of people, you cannot complete it on your own. So again, number one, it's familiar. Number two, it's something other people see in you. Number three, it's challenging. Number four, it requires faith. Number five, it takes time. Number six, it's more than just one thing. And number seven, it's bigger than you. What do you think about that, about your calling?
I reject the idea of a calling. My universe does not have a calling. There's no one particular magical thing that we're all supposed to do. I feel like that's a limiting belief, actually, is to think that you have a calling. So in the unwritten book by Donna, and thank you for the person who said, have I considered writing my book? One of them is, one of my success principles is I choose beliefs that serve me. And one of the beliefs that serve me is that the idea of having a calling is not necessarily something that we all are supposed to strive for.
Do you think that you have, like, if it's not a calling, something that you do particularly well? Like, I tend to think about one thing, and that is, it's a lot more fun to do the stuff you do well than to do the stuff that you're not that great at.
Sure. It's nice to show off skills rather than build them. It's fun to show them off.
Well, I found, for example, because I had this conversation with my partner, Hubert, who you know well, and we were just beating this up. What is it? What's the thing? And finally, we honed in on, okay, Ridgely, what you do really well is communication. That's what you do. Mm-hmm. You write books, you do speaking, you do lectures, you do this, you do that. It's all what you do is communication. And I found that oddly comforting to say, you're right. That is what I do. And I'm very comfortable doing that. I enjoy doing that. I thrive doing that. So I'm good with that. I don't know if it's a calling per se, but it's certainly a zone of genius or a comfort space or both, right? So wondering.
I would say that it is a skill that you developed that you enjoy. That's what I'd say. Because you weren't born knowing how to communicate.
My mom might disagree.
Or at least not at the level that you are. Yeah, I feel like, and maybe this comes out of my journey, which is spending a lot of time feeling bad about myself because I didn't know what my calling was. Mm-hmm. What's the point of that? So when in my journey, I realized that I can choose my own beliefs, I decided to believe that not everyone has a calling, or that maybe a calling for people like me is to just experience life, or to have fun, or to learn things, or like, I feel like this sense that you have a calling, that there's something bigger than you and important to do in the world is intimidating, and it holds a lot of people back.
Yeah, could be. That's something to really ponder. I'd like to ponder that a little bit more. I think that's...
And I'm not saying that people don't have callings. Some people do, but I don't think everyone does. Some people are clearly called or drawn to a particular idea or profession or habit or hobby, whatever you want to put. They're called to something. But I don't think that means that we have to.
Yeah. Very, very interesting.
Yeah.
Huh. I got to
Yeah.
ponder that. That's what we do on these calls. We pose these questions and we let everybody ponder them to their own in their own way, etc.
And
So
choose the belief that serves you.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it is your dream and your perception and all those
Mhm.
things. So let's go like kind of a little deep. So this guy Shinya Tomi was the Buddhist study leader of the United States for a while. Incredible dude who came over from the Orient, didn't speak any English, taught himself English, then went to UCLA, then studied all this stuff, and now wrote these essays that are like ridiculous and fascinating. And he has one in here about being a pilgrim, about a pilgrimage, which for a lot of people is a new beginning for sure. And I found this to be really profound, definitely looking for your take, Donna. He says, "We're strangers to ourselves," is the title. Our desire to travel to a far off land is deeply related to our yearning to reunite with something important or even sacred from which we feel alienated. Our passion for travel in this sense is almost religious right before a trip. This may be one of the chief reasons for the popular union of travel and faith, that is, pilgrimage.
Mm-hmm.
In most religions, major religions of the world, believers throughout the centuries have made a journey to their sacred places as an act of devotion. Christian and Jews to Jerusalem, Muslims to Mecca, Hindus to Benares, Buddhists to Borgai, and so on. Countless local shrines and temples are visited by their devotees every year. People's attachment to these holy sites is so strong and at times misguided that much blood has been spilt in drawing and redrawing their boundaries to this day. And here's the part that I found fascinating. The etymologies of the word religion and pilgrimage suggest our essential motive for taking a journey of faith, as language often shapes and is shaped by the people who use it. The word religion is related to the Latin verb religare, that is to tie back or to unite, and the word pilgrimage to the Latin verb peregrinare, that is to travel abroad or to be a stranger. The linguistic origins of those words imply that somehow we feel like a stranger in the world we live in, so we leave our homes and travel abroad in search of something from which we have been estranged to find a new beginning.
Interesting. Not sure that it resonates with me.
Says, we see ourselves as strangers who wander through foreign lands seeking to unite with something precious we have lost. I'm not saying that's an everybody thing, but I think definitely a some people thing.
Definitely a some people thing. I think that we're naturally inclined to seek. We are curious beings by nature. Lots of things tamp that down. The easy availability of entertainment squashes your natural curiosity because it's so easily satisfied. Whether curiosity means seeking something, I don't know. I just like the food. I'm just here for the food. That's why I travel.
So what are you looking forward to eating as you journey through the Bahamas?
Lots of fruit, mangoes and pineapples and coconuts. That is one of the things. The fresh coconut water that you can get on the islands where they chop off the top of a coconut and put a straw in it and hand it to you. It's probably my favorite thing about traveling anywhere tropical.
Oh man, I am so with you on that. Okay. That is like so delicious to get that. And my wife loves that too. And don't be talking about any more food anymore because today is fasting day for Ridgely.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I definitely live to eat, so I get it.
All right. So I'm going to throw one more paragraph at you. And this one is from Essential Spirituality. Wisdom is born of paradox. If we would be wise, we must first recognize that we are not. We are motivated to learn only when we know we do not know.
100% agree with that statement. That is so true.
Right. So, but there are multiple pieces to that. We are motivated to learn when we know we do not know. Right. I mean, I think that's super cool because at least for me, it's like, oh, I need the awareness that I do not know so that I can be motivated to go and learn and seek and yearn and see what I can do. What does it mean to you?
I think the most interesting place that we see this with people is after they've gotten the easy knowledge. So they pick up this new idea and then they seek and they have all this easily attainable knowledge and they feel like they know a topic until they encounter something that they don't know. Because once they feel like they know, they stop researching until they encounter, here's a question I don't have the answer for. And then they go out and find it. So I think it's that when you decide that you want to learn about something, you go and absorb as much as you can. But the danger is we all give up too soon. We all give up before mastery and think we know everything there is to know about a topic. And of course, none of us know everything there is to know about a topic.
How boring would that be? Oh my gosh, right?
Boring.
The discovery is so amazing. It goes on to say here, the recognition that we don't know is more than an insight into ourselves. It is an invaluable insight into reality. The universe is so incomprehensibly vast, life so inconceivably profound, and our minds so relatively limited that our lives and the universe are a great and wondrous mystery. I just love that. Okay. I just love that. I'm like, yep, it's big out there and I ain't but a little cog, just a little cog. And yet at the same time, without Donna Fox, without you, there is no you.
Right.
Right? There is no universe for you without you. So I love that juxtaposition between the inconceivably vast, etc., and the fact that we're our relatively limited mind, if you will, comparatively speaking, and yet we still are the center, no matter what.
Yes. What's sort of mind blowing, and I'm at Mike Fulsame's house right now, and we were talking this morning about. I read something about someone who learned when she was in her 30s that a horse's hoof is not their shoe. She made a comment about the horse's toes being squished into her shoe because she had seen horseshoes as a child being put on and she just thought the hoof was part of it. And it never came up at all until she was in her 30s and she mentioned some comment about the horse's toes being squished. Fascinating, right? Because none of us know. The information that we know is wrong right now. We think we're right about everything that we know right now. But who knows? One day, tomorrow, you could learn that everything you know is wrong. I think that's happening in some industries, like the healthcare industry. We've had massive advancements in healthcare such that all of the advice that was given 20 years ago, we're learning was just plain wrong. What else? What other great mystery of this universe are we wrong about?
Well, and to that point, I also think about how important it is for us to constantly be seeking a greater level of truth, because oftentimes those who yell really loud find their way into people's minds, plant little seeds that, regardless of how ridiculous they may be, begin to take shape. For example, walk outside, man, I can't believe the sky is green. Everybody says, oh, no, it's not green. Oh, no, it's definitely green. Oh, no, it's not green. Well, you see the kind of a green tinge over there? There's a little bit of green going on. And I saw a report from a scientist on TV who said that there's some green pixels in the sky. So, and you can see this gets bigger and now it gets on talk shows and now it gets here and everybody's talking about the sky is green. And then everybody starts to think, oh, how cool it is to say that actually the sky is not blue, it's green, because somebody started yelling really loud that the sky was green, even though it's malarkey from the very beginning. So somehow, as we forge new beginnings on a day-to-day basis, we got to question the source of what we're talking about too. Constantly, what are you putting in that creates whatever's coming out?
Yeah. There's an expression in software development: garbage in, garbage out.
Yeah.
And interestingly, there is no counter expression to that. Like, diamonds in, diamonds out. There's no corollary. This idea that if you fill yourself, and in this case it's software, but it doesn't even matter. If you give yourself bad data, you're going to make bad calculations.
Yeah, Jim Rohn talked about that a lot. Jim used to talk about all that all the time: garbage in, garbage out. He would use that very expression, talking about what you feed your mind is going to then determine what's coming out of your mouth, your eyes, etc. What you see, what you hear. Suddenly we start to gravitate toward that negative, gravitate toward that downer, that bummer, that scarcity, that whatever.
And that effect, which is sort of human nature, is so much more amplified now that we have algorithms working against us, where we go online and social media presents us with the things that we're interested in at the time, which might not be good for us, and we get more of them.
Yeah, for sure. So as we wrap up today, final thoughts on beginnings and new beginnings.
Nothing already?
I know, man. So it's coming up on 2:50 already. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
The 15 minutes just goes like, bam, these conversations are so awesome.
We need to just have a day, Ridgely.
I think that's a great idea. I'm not sure we'd find each other very fascinating. I'm not sure if the rest of the world would find us fascinating for a whole day. We could try, do a live stream. Donna and Ridgely riffing all day. Okay, let's see. I have to walk in with a suitcase full of material to talk about.
That would be great. Maybe we make it just, just a live event, and we all sit around and read your books together.
We could do something like that. It could be super fun. So, Kelly asked, off topic, but fasting day, like for a whole 24 hours, why do I do that? Because I found some new information that gave me a new beginning, led me to believe that the idea if we need 3 squares a day is a myth completely created by big pharma and big agra. Not true. And at 62 years old, I'm as slim as I've been since I was 20 because of fasting, and my mind is sharper than ever. New information, new data, new beginning.
Kelly, I also fast.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I thought you were done.
No, and actually, Kelly, just to clarify that, I started last night and I'll end the fast tomorrow at lunch. So it's far more than 24 hours.
I do a 3-day fast every 2 weeks.
Good, right? Makes you clear, get your mind set, doing all this stuff. That's new. Talking about the health stuff. 20 years ago, nobody was talking about that. Now it is much more common to do that. I have
that is a perfect one. We were taught to control our blood sugar by eating multiple meals a day, which is how you keep your blood sugar up all the time. It controls your blood sugar in exactly the wrong way. Yeah. No, you want to keep your blood sugar down.
First thing I do if I see I have a really busy day is cut down on food. Forget about it. I'm like, nope, not doing the food thing. I'll have a nice big mug of chicken bone broth at lunch, and I'll eat after my very busy day. First thing. That way, all that energy into my busy day, as opposed to digesting something that I don't really necessarily need for another few hours. New information, new beginnings.
Yep.
Final thoughts before you get on that boat and take off into the sunset.
Where I will not be fasting, although I have fasted on the cruise before. And I sometimes I'll do the 18-hour fast, where I'm having a little too much food after dinner that night. I go, I'm not going to eat until dinner tomorrow night.
That's good.
And then have that little bit of break. Tough to do on the cruise.
That's good. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Especially when you're walking by and it's like, oh man, my favorite thing is like right there.
And you're weirdly hungry for no reason because you've eaten enough for a small country. Yeah.
Well, I want you to have an amazing, great time. Give a huge hug to Michelle and Mike and all the crew. Sorry I can't be there this year, but I look forward to it in the future. And I hope you come back refreshed, feeling amazing and ready for the rest of the new beginnings that are in front of us.
I am so excited to come back and share all the artwork that I'm going to be creating on this cruise with everyone. So yeah,
Yay!
I am so looking forward to it. I packed my art supplies a month in advance. I literally spent a month thinking about all the supplies, choosing what I was going to bring. I packed my clothing 2 hours before I left for the airport. That's how much I want to make art on this trip.
At least we know where your priorities are. I love
That's right.
that. All right, my dear. Huge hug your way. Huge hug to everybody. Enjoy the cruise. And
Do this if you're watching. Give yourself a hug. It really helps, guys. It's amazing how much this helps sometimes.
Yeah, right. You are worth it. You are worth it. All right, let's jam on out of here, Donna Fox.
Love you all. Let's listen to Gruzilla sing us out. Bye. Oops, not fast enough. Bye. Thank you. Oh, wait, we're still up. I never ended the broadcast. Sorry, guess we're still live.
That's all.